Sayawan Swasti, Sayawan Swasti, Sayawan Swasti. I would like to thank my friend for opening the arguments on behalf of the opposition. And you're going to hear from me on 2 points. The first is why developed countries are responsible for climate change compared to developing countries. And secondly, I'm going to talk about how and why developed countries should and must address the issues of climate change. But first of all, I would simply like to rebut the arguments from my friend on the opposition. We have heard, and it is a good statistic, that 10% of climate change can be attributed to natural factors. And indeed, the population has increased to 7 billion. But man cannot control nature, and we are not suggesting that developed countries control nature. Nature is a gift to us. It provides us with grass and animals and all the resources we can. If it gives us negative effects, such as these 10% we're hearing about, we must accept them. What we are talking about is the unnatural acceleration of climate change, which comes from developed countries exploiting these resources. This then leaves a burden on developing countries. We've also heard that developing countries do indeed cause and introduce effects which increase a change in the climate. However, the majority of this is because of the exploitation of developed countries. England, America have ran out of natural resources. So what should we do? Let's travel east and build our factories there. Yes, we will pay the workers, but the profit is coming back to multinational countries in developed nations. Let me now talk about the fact that developed countries have been exploiting the resources of the world for years. As I have said, this has caused the unnatural acceleration which has led to climate change. Developed countries have benefited from what they have done. For years and decades, developed countries have been making money through industrialization, and because of that, their countries have strong education systems, social welfare systems, and healthcare which is second to none. In Africa, the British and the French came and exploited the resources, and from that, the British and the French became strong, developed countries. In Southeast Asia, we had the Spanish and the French coming along. In India, the British. And the legacy this left developed countries was industrialization, education, the opportunity to make money and become developed countries at the expense of developing countries. Because of that, it is developed countries' responsibility to pay back what they have done and clean up their mess. Developed countries can no longer put off addressing climate change. The time is now, and they should not put off until tomorrow what they can start today. Let me ask you this. How can a developing country focus on climate change when they don't yet have a national healthcare system, education, and their own economy? Diseases such as malaria, AIDS, dysentery, common infections in developed countries which are treatable and cured, yet developing countries don't have the money to prevent these and cure them. Fundamental rights such as education aren't taught throughout the country on a level playing field for every child. Every child deserves a chance to read and write and be educated. Do you propose that a developing country's money be spent on combating climate change at the expense of children's education or healthcare for young children or mothers. This is what happens when we look at the developing countries. If the developing countries can address these issues, their education and their healthcare, then the opportunity will come to become an industrial nation, to make money on the commercial scale that the developed countries have done for decades. The developing countries deserve this chance to catch up, and they should be entitled to it, and it is the sole responsibility of developed countries to allow them this opportunity to catch up. And why must developed countries do it? A simple answer: there is no excuse not to. Developed countries have gained products of exploitation and from that money. In July this year, the UK is holding the Olympics. This is an entertainment event, and the UK government is spending millions of money, millions of pounds on an entertainment event. So a developed country such as the UK cannot say they don't have the money to effect the changes required to reduce the effects of climate change. And how can they do it? Solar technology, wind farms, nuclear technology. This technology exists because of the education system and the opportunities the developed countries have had to develop. They have the money, they have the technology. Because this is here, they now must use this to give developing countries a chance to focus on their own growth from education and healthcare up, and eventually coming to compete with developed countries. And on that point, I am proud to support the motion that developed countries are solely responsible and must take action to address climate change.
The second speaker will now deliver the last speech opposing the resolution. It is his or her responsibility to complete the text on the affirmative case and report the summary the negative opposition.
Your Excellency, judges, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tesukia. I am a second speaker from the negative side, and I am here to advance two arguments that developed countries have reduced the amount of emission while developing countries increase their emission more and more. And another one is legal obligation law of legal obligation of developing countries to fight the climate change. But before moving to address my point of view, let me reply to what my fellow friends in positive side say at the moment. Actually, we accept that developed countries reduce a large amount of emission into the atmosphere. We do not reject that. But while we are reducing amount of emission into the atmosphere, developing countries also significantly take part in that as well. As my friend said earlier, developing countries release the amount of money into the atmosphere, amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere up to 47.4% in 2000, based on the report from EIA in 2009. And another one is, you say scientists, no one agree with scientists, but the world, many people in the world, especially developed country or developing country, they depend on sometimes they depend on scientists to explain the phenomena. So scientists still important. And then one thing is, you said we developing countries do not have money like Cambodia. They release less than the emission. That's why there is no need to spend money, but they have to take some action to protect, make their people not release much emission into the atmosphere. And another one is, you say we should spend money for food education. We agree that you can spend those money for food education, but based on Kyoto Protocol, it is common, but differentiate responsibility, which means that every country in Kyoto Protocol had to do it to fight the climate change, but the responsibilities must be different as well. If you pollute less, you spend only less or you take action less. But if you pollute more, you have to take more. And developing countries also pollute, also cause the climate change. So they have to take some action to fight the climate change as well. Now let's move to my argument. Developing countries reduce amount of emission, while developed countries reduce amount of emission, while developed countries increase more and more emission to the atmosphere. The simple question that I would like to ask everyone is where is the climate change caused from? It's from factories, from power plant, from power station, transportation, and another. If you look at factory in developed country also have factory, and developing country grow more and more factory years by year, and as a result they increase a lot of amount of emission. According to EIA, also mentions that developing country based in fact factory sectors, developing country emits up to over 4,000 million tons in 2009, while developed country release only over 1,600 million tons. And another one talking about power plant. Developed country they use renewable energy, but developing country many power plant or power station in developing country run by fuels or coals, and the fuel and coals release the energy more and more into the atmosphere, and as a result, developed country release only nearly 5,000 million tons into the atmosphere in the power plant sector. But developing country release up to over 7,000 million tons in 2009. And as the two mentioned about plus transportation and other factors, according to EIA, also proved that with the same period from 2005 to 2009, developed countries decreased the amount of emission into the atmosphere by 9%, while developing countries increased the amount of emission up to by 26% during the same period. You see? And another one is we can see that developing countries not only contribute to a significant amount of emission, but increase more and more. So they are the emitter of the carbon dioxide or greenhouse gas to cause the climate change as well. So they have to take action with developed countries. And another one is we talk about legal obligation of developing countries. You know that in Kyoto Protocol, there are 191 members in Kyoto Protocol, and each member has a country. And there are over 100 countries as a developing country is assigned. And in the Article 3 of Kyoto Protocol also mentions that it is common but differentiate responsibility, which means that all the parties have to take the action to fight the climate change. But if Cambodia release less, they have to take less action. If the United States release more, and they have to take more action. If China release more and more when they are developing countries, so they have to take action as well. So as a result, from my friend mentioned, and also including me, I feel on I still disagree with the motion that developing country is developed world is solely responsible for take action to address the climate change. Thank you.
Question session. The members of each side are allowed to ask, answer, interrupt by raising hand, oppose, defend, and rebut as appropriate. Each speaker cannot go beyond 2 minutes. I now give the floor to the first person from the affirmative group. Thank you.
You have spoken about the fact that developing countries have to do something about climate change. The question is this: where are the resources going to come from for the developing countries to address climate change?
Actually, developing country have enough ability to take action to address the climate, to take some part with developed world to address the climate change. They can only promote their people to grow the trees. They can also create trust, a strict law, policies on taking the car to reduce the emission into the atmosphere, and they can do many things. There are possibilities. There is no need to spend much money, and they can spend on their education, their children education, and the other thing to develop the country as well. My question to you is, according to CO